going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 31 Days of Horror. I am your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yes, 31 Days of Horror, Volume 9, Day 13. Of course, is coming at you live and direct. All right, guys, so we're going to take it back to 2 years ago, 2023, with a film released by Scream Team releasing. And if you guys have followed me for, through these 31 days of horror years, you know how much I love to review Scream Team releases because it's just one of my favorite independent companies. I think they put out really good, low-budget, indie-type stuff. And I just feel like they're doing me a favor by putting out stuff because I love reviewing this. So anyways, from 2013, we have a film called Cryptids. Yes, this is an anthology film based on cryptology. Zoology, cryptology, whatever you want to call it, aka cryptids, which is kind of an interesting topic. Like, we actually do a series on my podcast called Zoology, which we of course do like killer rat films, killer dog films, killer animal films, right? But then cryptids is kind of like the unworldly creatures of the night and stuff like that, like Bigfoots and, all the other type of things, chupacabras and shit like that. So that's what this is, cryptids, cryptid zoology, which I've always been very fascinated with, but we're actually working on doing stuff like this. And we've had that in the gates for a long time too. But yeah, so Cryptids is an anthology film put out by Scream Team releasing, and of course, if you're familiar with their work, you're going to recognize a lot of the names that I'll mention as I go through the shorts and stuff like that, and the films. And it's basically Scream Team releasing is kind of like a really cool independent collective of like directors, special effects artists, musicians, and things like that, and actors. If you see one person, they're probably in something else. So, all right, so this one right here basically starts out with Joe Bob Briggs' character, hence Joe Bob. He plays a radio host, and he hosts a show called the Truth Serum radio show. And what their topic is cryptids. So they want callers to call in and tell stories about cryptids and crazy shit like that. So we get into our first story, which is called The Melonheads, directed by Zane Hirschberger, who of course did a film that I did last year called Forced to Fear, starring Sable Grendel. I absolutely love Forced to Fear, really, really good stuff. He also worked on 1031 volumes 1, 2, and 3, I think. So this one's called Melonheads. It's kind of a different take on cryptids, I gotta say. It's really, really quite interesting. It's basically about these kids that are born with this syndrome called it's like water on the brain syndrome. It makes your head like kind of swell up, and you get swelling of the brain. Your head kind of all swells up. Anyways, they're sent to this hospital and, to get kind of fixed up, but that's not really the case. It's kind of like a Mad Doctor story where he starts doing these tests on them. They turn on the doctor, kill the doctor, and make their way out into the woods and stuff like that. And then, of course, we've got some people that are doing some R&R partying out in this backyard and stuff, and then all hell breaks loose, and now it's a fight for their lives. Very, very cool take. Love the atmosphere. One thing I will be mentioning a lot in these shorts is the fact that a lot of these stories do take place out in the woods and like out in the country and stuff like that, which is a really good location and creates a lot of good atmosphere and stuff like that. So this one's really good, man. I really like the look of the Melonheads. Actually, the title Melonheads actually really cracked me up, but it's got some good gore, good atmosphere, good acting and stuff, and that was a really good short. And of course, we have a wraparound story with Joe Bob Briggs, and in between every segment, they do take the calls, and then they, goes into the next segment. The next segment is called Bigfoot, directed by Robert Kuhn. Of course, I think this is the only feature that he actually directed. I think he's more of like a special effects artist and stuff like that. This is actually the shortest of the anthology. It's basically about these rangers that get a call about these missing hikers and stuff, and they go to find them, and they find this girl that has been raped. And then basically they come across this Bigfoot, and it's kind of a fight for their lives and stuff like that. This one's short, kind of to the point. It's very dark and gritty. Where it goes, I was like, damn, that's kind of brutal. So yeah, interesting one. I really kind of liked it. Again, set out in the woods and stuff, got some good atmosphere, got some good blood, and I think the Bigfoot actually looks really cool in this. So, and then we get, of course, more of the wraparound story. The story 3 is directed by John William Holt, called The Loveland Frogman, I believe. I know he worked on 1031. So this one right here is really interesting. It's basically about this zoologist, or this cryptozoologist, is so claimed or self-claims cryptozoologist guy. Anyway, he's kind of like on this fishing boat with this couple and stuff, and this is definitely like the comedic relief one of the anthology. Anyways, this character is super quirky. He like kind of jumps off this boat, makes his way to the land and stuff, and he's trying to find this frogman. And of course, he comes in contact with this frogman, and he gets a little bit more than he bargained for, let's just sort of say. This one is fucking hilarious. I actually was laughing through this whole thing. It's so ridiculous where it goes and what happens to this zoology dude. It's ridiculous, but I thought it was kind of cool because there's this moment where he has this interaction with this frogman, and he starts to trip out. Like it gets all fucking kind of zany, and like it gets all like he's basically high. And I think I've read somewhere where there's some frogs that are either like poisonous or whatever, and some frogs can kind of get you high and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of what they're going for here, because it gets all trippy and shit, and he's tripping out and crazy things are happening, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. It's pretty long, actually. I think it's probably might even be the longest one. I'm not even 100% sure, but really fun visuals. The frogman looked amazing in this. I'm not going to give it away, but there's a scene towards the end where it just had me busting out. Keep that in mind. But yeah, it was pretty fun. So then we get into the fourth story, which is directed by Brett D. Yeager, which is called The Hopkinsville Goblins. And I think he worked on 1031. He also did a film called Bojangles, I believe. This one right here is kind of cool because it's set on Halloween. It's about this son. He brings his daughter out to go visit his father for Halloween. His father's like a huge Halloween fan and stuff like that. And he just seems like he's lonely, so he wants his son out there with his daughter and stuff. The girlfriend does not want to be there. Anyways, the father goes out into the lake to go fishing, and he sees that there's this like something's in the water. It's all bubbling and shit like that. So he goes and grabs it out of the water, and it turns out to be this huge ass egg. So he brings it inside the house. He's like, well, this would be perfect for my decorations, because he's really into Halloween. He's dressing up his whole house. Like, he's just really into it. Kind of cool. Very, very nice visually done segment too, because it has that kind of Halloween feel and stuff like that. But of course the egg hatches and these goblins come to life and stuff, and then all hell kind of breaks loose from there and stuff. The goblins look really cool. Just kind of remind me of like small little creature feature films like Gremlins and Hobgoblins and all that type of shit, like Critters and shit like that. So it's kind of like a homage to that a little bit. I thought that was actually really cool. So the next one right here is directed by Bloody Bill Pond, who of course did an indie film that I absolutely love, In Circus of the Dead. He directed a short called Doll Boy, which I actually have a signed poster sitting right beside me. Now, this Billy Pond isn't necessarily part of Scream Team releasing. He's kind of like the oddball one out here that doesn't really do a lot with them. So this one was kind of interesting, actually. It was kind of outside the box. The first four have kind of the same overall setting feel, out in the woods, very atmospheric and stuff like that. This one's a lot different. It's basically about this Mexican cartel that is rounding up all these lackeys that have fucked them over and stuff like that, like all these kind of street level drug dealers and shit like that have done some stupid shit. Anyways, it kind of turns into like a surviving the game type deal where they gather up these dudes, they put them in this warehouse and stuff, and they're supposed to like run out in these fields, and what they do is they set off these chupacabras. Hence this one's called the Chupacabra Death Machines. And so they set them off and they go and attack these dudes, and the way it's filmed is really cool. It's kind of filmed like on camcorders. It's kind of got this grindhouse feel and stuff like that to it. The gore is really good, which you would expect from Billy Pond, because Circus of the Dead was really gory. Doll Boy was really gory too, so I was expecting the gore to be kind of amped up here and stuff like that, and it's pretty much kind of what we got. But the overall story I thought was really cool. The chupacabras look interesting. There's like a lot to offer and stuff here, but I just felt like this one felt completely outside the box within this anthology, because everything was in sync with each other. Everything had this cohesive feel with, the outside settings in the woods and the atmosphere and stuff. Like this one kind of felt right outside the box. So even though I did like it, it just felt like it was kind of there. And then the last one is directed by Justin M. Seaman, of course, who did The Barn 1 and 2. I think he worked on, I believe he worked on 1031. I believe. I know he did Volumes of Blood. He did a segment in Volumes of Blood Part 2. So this one is called The Beast of Bladenborough. And it's basically about these two brothers and a sister who are trying to hunt down this beast, this legend of the beast and whatever. So they kind of bait it and stuff like that. Anyways, one thing turns into another, and one of the characters tries to play a joke. It doesn't turn out well, and then it kind of goes from there. So this one was kind of an interesting turn of events. So I was like, what the fuck? It was like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, this one's kind of cool because at first, taking place all inside, and they're kind of fucking around inside and stuff like that, and it goes out to the woods, out in the backyard and stuff like that, so it kind of recaptures that whole essence of the outside atmosphere and outdoors setting and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, that one was pretty cool too and stuff like that. And then of course we get, actually just before this one, we do get a little bit of more, like a bigger kind of section of the wraparound story, and then and then after the last story is done, then we get the resolution to the story and stuff like that, which I think in the resolution, I think kind of the worst effect in the whole film is actually done with Joe Bob Briggs' character right at the end. But yeah, so we do get a full wraparound story. So this whole anthology actually legitimately is an anthology. It's not just a collection of shorts. So my overall thoughts on Cryptids is I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really cool, man. Yeah, so starting out with Melonheads by Zane Hirschberger, which shout out to Zane. Ran into him at Wasteland. I talked to him. He's like, yo, man, you going to review this? And I was like, I am reviewing this. I already had it set up for today. So shout out to to Zane. And yeah, so Melonheads, man, I really enjoyed this one. I really liked the whole idea of it, just a totally different kind of turn on the zoology idea, the cryptic zoology idea. So I thought that was really neat, and I really like the end of it too, because it's totally homage to The Beyond. I gotta say that because The Beyond's one of my all-time favorite films, and I'm pretty sure that's what Zane was going for, but it's pretty fucking cool. But overall, like I said, most of these shorts have really good outside atmosphere, good gore effects. There's enough blood and gore in here and stuff like that. It's not overly exploitive. There's not really any I don't think there's any nudity in the whole thing, actually, now that I come to think of it. So it doesn't have that going for it, which is fine. But yeah, as for a cohesive anthology, I think it all really works. Even though I liked Billy Pond's short, the Chupacabra Death Machine short, I don't think it necessarily fit into this anthology, even though it was really good, if that makes a lot of sense. I think that this could have done just with the 5 from the collective of the Scream team releasing directors and artists and stuff like that, and maybe with one other story. But yeah, no complaint about Billy Pond's short. I thought it was really good. It just didn't really necessarily fit into this, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so as a whole, I thought this was really, really fucking good. It was fun. I'm such a big fan of anthologies, and I think that Scream Team releasing is one of the best independent companies out there, like I've said before, for doing, and they really do kind of specialize in anthologies. They're the ones that put all the 1031 films out, which there's a 4th one now. They've done this one, and there's other ones and stuff. But the whole filmography that Scream Team releasing has going for themselves right now is really awesome. I'm a big fan of the Barn 1 and 2 that Justin M. Seaman did and stuff. Those are really good. The soundtracks are really good. And it's just on display here too. I think even in Justin M. Seaman's, he got some really good synth music, which of course is prevalent in all these type of films also. But yeah, really good effects, man. The Frogman was probably, I really do like that it didn't go completely ridiculous with the comedy in that one, but that was a funny short. What happens and just some of the scenarios and shit was really ridiculous, but it was funny. It was zany, it was funny, it was great. But overall, enjoyable. Really, really fun anthology. If you're a fan of anthology films, I highly recommend this, especially lower budget, but shot well, acted well. This is not your $3 type film. There's a lot of effort put into here. There's a lot of heart and stuff like that. So I would love to see a part 2 of Cryptids, man, because I think there's a lot more cryptozoology ideas that you could probably go from. I honestly, they covered a lot of them. You got the Frogman idea. You've got, the Melonheads, I guess, is a new one, which I keep laughing about. Melonheads, it's so funny to me. You've got certain, Bigfoots, Chupacabras, stuff like that. So I don't know what else there is for Cryptids, really, but I'm sure you could just kind of make up some shit, I guess so. But all in all, really, really enjoyed this. I'm going to give this one out of 10. I'm going to give this 8 out of 10. So the whole thing runs about 85 minutes. I think the credits kick in about 81, 82 minutes. So you do have 6 shorts and a wraparound, and it feels, for the most part, very, very cohesive. And I always feel like that's a problem with anthology films nowadays. They're either just a collection of shorts with no wraparound, because if your shit doesn't have a wraparound story, I never really consider it to be a full anthology, because that's kind of the point of anthologies. That's kind of you need the bookends. You need that band-aid to hold everything together, and that's why this one works for me. So thank goodness that they're putting, the wraparound stories in here and stuff like that. And like I said, it's a big problem with anthology films these days, is where they just do collection of shorts and there's no cohesiveness. They just take a bunch of directors and kind of do shit and stuff like that. But, you know, there is cohesive stuff. But, yeah. Cryptids, good stuff from Scream Team releasing. Really enjoyed that. So, yeah, guys, that's going to conclude day 13, because that's all I'm going to say about the shorts. I don't want to give everything away because each one runs like, you know, 10, 12, 13 minutes long. Like, you can only say so much. So I'll let you guys watch it for yourself. But anyways, like I said, that's going to conclude day 13. I'll be back day 14 with actually a film that I've never seen before. I've been wanting to see this film for years because I missed out on the DVD that came out years and years ago. Just kind of missed it, went out of print, and it finally got released by Kino, and it's from a series of films by an actor/director that I absolutely love. Probably giving too much away from there, but anyways, check you guys in day 14. And as usual,